All right, buckle up. This question here is really long and quite heavy, so I'm going to read the whole thing and then we're going to see what we can say in response to it. How can you maintain passion in subject matter, teaching and learning if you go deep? Because I don't know about you, but as I delve a bit deeper into one of my key learning areas, which is economics and commerce, there can be some dark facts beneath it. Things like child labor, different groups being marginalized, social norms and different expectations, discrimination. There are so many negatives here. So for some period of time, I loathed it as it presented itself in this way. But I tried to look for the bright side too, otherwise I would just feel suffocated. So how can you manage to deal with this kind of complexity of knowledge itself while maintaining the passion? Will the intimacy and affection between knowledge and man prevent you from seeing things clearly? This is a super profound question, and I am not going to imagine or pretend that I can answer it comprehensively in a way that fully does it justice. I guess all I'm going to do is share my thoughts and reflections on this. Firstly, I think this is a fantastic and wonderful question. It's very insightful. The question itself is insightful because, yes, when we teach, there are lots of dark facts underneath all of the different things that we teach. Some key learning areas make it more obvious than others, so these are economics and commerce examples that have just been given. But as a mathematics teacher, I have to reckon with the fact that mathematics and statistics has been used throughout history to marginalize and to be able to take advantage of people groups, to misconstrue the facts. That's one of the, sadly, that's one of the uses of statistics that sort of takes advantage of the power of numbers that are very hard to understand and interrogate sometimes. So these numbers and facts can be used to manipulate decisions and to discriminate against different people groups. So there are dark facts underneath every key learning area. And the question was, how do you maintain passion in subject area? And how do you deal with the kind of complexity of knowledge while maintaining that passion? There was a man named Viktor Frankl, and he wrote this book many years ago called Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, and he actually was interned in some of the Nazi concentration camps. And he talked about man's search for meaning. The book is all about people wrestling with the challenges of life and often these dark facts and dark realities. And it's true that as teachers, I think we need to work and think hard with our colleagues about how do we wrestle with the complexity of knowledge. This is not something that you can do, well, I don't think it's something that's best done individually. We need to talk with the people that we work with and to form networks and communities of people who we can say, I'm wrestling with this question and I don't want to feel alone in the way that I'm asking questions of this knowledge. And I can virtually guarantee, all the syllabus documents that we're teaching, some of them are very old. You've got lots of hundreds and thousands of people who are teaching it. The questions that you're posing, there are other people who are posing these same questions, and even just the act of talking them through is really important to help you recognize that you aren't alone in this struggle, and other people are going to have different insights and perspectives that will help you to wrap your head around. Okay, say for example, yeah, statistics has been misused throughout history for different reasons, politically, culturally, throughout society. But also, statistics has been used to help shine a light on really terrible things. And we can, once the data tells us a story about what the problem is, we can start to make moves to solve that problem, because awareness is the first challenge, right? So being able to talk with our colleagues and gain that hope-giving perspective, I think is really vital. Being able to acknowledge to our students that knowledge is complex, I think that's really important. And being upfront with our students and say, hey, look class, we're going to be working through something that has positives and negatives to it. Let's think about that. I think we often give or don't give students enough credit for their ability to wrestle with these issues themselves. And one of the things that gives me the most hope is that future generations are going to be able to understand the world around them better than past generations. And so, all of these dark things, we're going to be able to take action against them because of the knowledge and understanding that we've built in them as their educators. For me, that's a big part of how I maintain that passion. I know that, yes, there are these sad realities throughout history and society, but I can play a role, and indeed I do play a role, every teacher does, in changing those things. One of the most wonderful things about education, that we get to invest in the next generation and we get to leave the world better than the state that we found it in. So I guess for me, sometimes when I hear this question, it sort of pictures that difficulty and that darkness and these hard things in contrast to the passion. But I want to suggest that actually for me, sometimes when I find out about something terrible and sad and tragic, that actually makes me more passionate to change that thing. Some people view anger as a bad emotion, but I think anger is just love trying to protect something that's important. That's the way I think about anger. And the more angry you get about things that matter, and the more that you don't just give in to that anger and become bitter, but actually say, I can do something about this. I can equip the next generation so they understand things better and they don't make the same mistakes that I have, or that my generation has, or past generations have. For me, that gets really at the heart of my moral purpose as a teacher. So I hope that is helpful. It is something that really is important for the long term, because teaching is a marathon, not a sprint. So I hope that helps you to cultivate and to deepen that passion for your subject matter, because it helps us to make a difference in these dark things and problematic things in the world.